Okay, I'm going to tell you a little about adverbials, sometimes referred to as circumstantials, but I'll use the term adverbial to keep things simple. Okay, um, we got moving on in just a sec. Here we go. Okay, if we look at the types of adverbial, we have three, how can I put it, classic types, namely manner, place, and time. Manner is when the adverbial describes how something took place or in which manner it did. Let's take an example. Trudy sang horribly. Here, horribly tells us about the manner in which Trudy sang. So that's a manner adverbial. Place. Uh, let's look at the example. Lewis sang in Venice. And here we could ask, where did he sing? And we get the answer in Venice. So this is place, isn't it? We are given the location of the event. Anthony sang today features a time adverbial. Today. We can ask, when did Anthony sing? And the answer to that question is today. So here we have time, a time adverbial. Then there is a rather mixed bag of adverbials, namely the one that we call contingency. And under contingency, we find cause. Why, or the reason is also why, or the purpose would also be elicited using why as the interrogative, or condition and concession and role. Let's look at a few examples. Okay, Anthony sang out of love, and here we might well ask, why did Anthony sing? And we get the answer, out of love. So out of love is a cause or reason for that matter adverbial. Um, Bill threw his cup at the mosquito to make it go away. Here, to make it go away is also something that might elicit by asking, why did Bill throw his cup at the mosquito? And the answer to that question is to make it go away. We could also sometimes it's the condition that is expressed, by the adverbial. Anthony sang if it was happy. Here we can ask, on what condition would Anthony sing? And we get Anthony sang if it was happy. If it was happy is the condition. Sometimes concession is expressed by the adverbial. It is the idea that it do something although, right, that I admit this is a bit strange, but there you go. concession adverbials can be expressed with subordinators such as though or even though or in spite of something, which expresses a concession. I admit is what it expressed, right? Anthony sang in spite of his sorrow. Here we have Anthony singing even though he was sorry of something, sorrowful, right? So even though this is a bit strange, we have this concession, a special circumstance that obtains, and which is a bit strange. Looking at the event, okay. Sometimes role is what we express using an adverbial. So we have the sentences, as an expert, Martin had to give his medical opinion on the crime in court. As an expert, here is a role adverbial. It expresses the role of the subject. And here we can ask, in what capacity did X do Y? So we could ask, in what capacity did Martin have to give his medical opinion on the crime in court? And the answer to that question is as an expert, right? So as an expert gives us the role. Okay. Sometimes we have a rather special type of adverbial, namely links, or sometimes called linkers. Sentence adverbials that conjoin, that is, join together, sentences across sentence boundaries, across full stops and the like. That is, they have a cohesive function. They're used as a signal, as a signpost, so that the reader can navigate in the text and see how sentences go together. Okay, so examples are furthermore, however, besides, moreover, first of all, second of all, and so on and so forth. And all of these adverbials here basically mean and, right? You might replace the whole thing by and, okay. There are also others. You could take something like however, right, which means but, right? It's the same as but. Oh, did I mention that already? Sorry. Okay. But this is what these links do. They coordinate in the same way that and but and or coordinate within a sentence. An example of the of or used but as an adverbial, it would be otherwise. Okay, she is either at home or dead, but you could change that into she is at home, full stop. Otherwise, she's dead. So otherwise means the same thing as or, but it's used as an adverbial and it's used across sentence boundaries. A special type is also the speaker's viewpoint adverbial, or circumstantial if you like, which is typically placed at the beginning of the sentence or with a comma in front of them at the end of the sentence, sometimes even between subject and verb. Let's have have examples, shall we? Sadly, Snape had to die the death of a double agent. Okay, sadly here expresses the speaker's point of view. Even though I think it's sad or something, it's very sad, but Snape had to die. This is what it expresses. It expresses that the speaker is sad. You might, in fact, substitute this for something like, it's very sad, or I think I'm very sad to say that Snape had to die, and so on and so forth. Right. Okay. Or you could take the example, Voldemort survived on unicorn blood. Sadly. Also, here sadly would express the speaker's point of view on the whole sentence. And I think that is very sad, is what it means. Okay, so now we have a catalogue of all the adverbials. Sometimes it's the placing or the placement of the adverbial that determines whether an adverbial is a viewpoint adverbial or a manner adverbial. So you could take something like, clearly he spoke. That would be okay. It was quite clear to everyone, or something like. So this is a viewpoint adverbial. I think it was clear, and so forth. That is what it means, isn't it? As opposed to he spoke clearly. Okay, okay, that would be the way in which he spoke. And if we put a comma in front of clearly, then it would also be a viewpoint circumstantial. He spoke clearly. Okay, meaning it was clear that he spoke. Right. I think that'll do for now.